Right, hello again. First off, an apology. Last time I did a video on this subject, that being flat Earth, I said that it wasn't possible to see France from the beach down at Folkestone and or Dover. Turns out this is actually incorrect. You can still kind of see France from the beach round at Dover, but not at Folkestone. So, as it happens, literally less than a week after I made the last video, I had a reason to drive down through Dover in a big old Scania 26-ton truck, along the A20 through what's known as a Round Hill Tunnel, which is just north of Folkestone, along the A20, which has been on the TV a lot lately, and down towards Dover. Now, at the top of the hill, as you're driving down, it's quite steep, but as the cliff breaks away, you can see France. And you can see a lot of France. It's very well defined on a clear day. You can make out structures, you can make out the cliffs and what have you. It goes on for quite a bit, you'd be surprised. But as you drive down towards the port of Dover, the further down you go, obviously, the less of France you can see. It doesn't go towards France, it doesn't go away from France, it runs perpendicular to the coast. Or sorry, parallel to the coast. So you're not going towards or coming away, you're just going down. And it's in your view most of the time when you can see through the cliffs. But as you get down to Dover, there's a break in the port walls where you can still see through, and if it's a clear enough day, you can just about see some of France. But the thing is, when you're up on the higher elevation, you can see the whole, more or less the whole channel spread out in front of you. See all the ferries going back and forth, and as you can see everything out playing out in front. And as you get closer to the seafront, the big expanse of channel is now down to about that much, visually speaking, and France is down to about that much. So obviously, the further down to the coast you go, down to the sea level you go, the less you can see because of the curvature of the Earth. Okay, so whilst what I said wasn't completely 100% factually wrong, I was still wrong. So that is my apology. I made a statement I thought was correct, mainly correct, and I'm now correcting myself. I was able to gather new information on the subject, and now I'm correcting it. But this got me thinking. I was able to absorb new data and incorporate it into my knowledge base. I can hold my hands up and say, I got that wrong, this is a correction. Indeed, Simon Dan, who I'm a big fan of, got kind of caught out the other day. He made some statements in a video, I think it was about some footage from the ISS that was supposed to show UFOs passing the screen from a live feed from the ISS. And Dan said that it was just an exploded rocket or something along those lines, which actually was based on facts. However, there was a little bit of an error there because the camera's pointing down towards Earth and not up. And what he was looking at was actually Houston in Texas. Dan has accepted this. He's put a post on his YouTube channel to say, got it wrong, I'll be issuing a correction as soon as possible. So he's got a couple of videos coming out soon, but I think it's coming this week or next week. But it occurs to me, I'm not putting myself on the same level as Dan or anybody like that. I am very much way down. But it occurs to me that we are able to accept criticism. We are able to have people look at us and say, actually, what you said was actually incorrect there, and here's why or here's how. And we can do that. But flat earthers, one in particular, who I'm going to be pointing out soon, just cannot. When their statements and claims are exposed for the incoherent twaddle they actually are, instead of saving face and saying, hang on a minute, oh my god, that's wrong, they double down on the derp and just burrow deeper into the rabbit hole of ignorance that they've created for themselves, and are completely unwilling to do the proper thing and say they got it wrong. So as an example, I'm going to pick on, no, I'm going to point out Level Earth Observer, my old chum, my old mate, because he's done a recent video where, well, no, he didn't do a video. He copied someone else's video, almost word for word. I think he kind of does that. He borrows all of his stuff from other flat earthers. I think they all do, because they've only got 10 or 11 talking points, which they repeat ad nauseum. He tends to borrow most of his stuff from Eric DeBay. So I'll point this video towards Eric as well. Hi Eric. So in this video, which like I say, he's completely borrowed from another one that was posted about 4 years ago, he's got timeanddate.com, and it shows you the current sun pattern on the Earth. Now as we're in summer and the northern hemisphere is pointing towards the Earth, the sun is in the Northern Hemisphere, so to speak. So in this video, he's trying to use this website and Google Earth, two completely disconnected websites, comparing them against each other to prove that the Earth is flat, or to prove that the sphere or the globe is a lie. What he's basically done is looked at two things, completely misunderstood what he's looking at, and then tried to claim it as fact. So the first thing he's done is gone onto this website, which again is stolen from this other chap, and it's gone to the time and date of a particular, or the sun's position relative to the Earth on a particular date and a particular time. So what you're looking at here is obviously a Mercator map, flat interpretation of the Earth's surface, and the relative position of the sun to it. Now where the sun is on the map, which I think is in between Chad and Niger, it's basically the zenith. It's the shortest distance between the sun and the Earth's position. That's what that little sun diagram is. It's not a life-size interpretation of the sun, Level Earth Observer. That's not what that is. So then you've got, obviously, because the Earth is a sphere and this is a flat map, the sun has this wavy pattern. And this is actually a very accurate interpretation of where the sun is. Obviously, Level Earth Observer has seen this and completely misunderstood what he's looking at. But what he's completely failed to understand is how the sun's rays hit the Earth and how far away the light source has to be. The answers are parallel and about 93 million miles. Of course, the answers are there right in front of him, but he just doesn't know how to look at them. So he's comparing it to Google Earth, and again, he's completely ballsing it up. The sun's in the Northern Hemisphere. Sun has to be between Chad and Niger, so that should be more or less the exact middle of the Earth as we can see it. So first mistake there. Second thing he hasn't taken into account is how far away the camera height is, which is visible on his little demonstration. Bottom right hand corner says he's about 25,000 kilometres away. He's just under 25,000 kilometres. Now as the Earth is only 12,742 kilometres, that's the Earth, that's the position of the camera height. Do you think anyone noticed? Thereabouts. So in this amazing graphic I've managed to put together, you can see that, of course, you're not going to be able to see all of the Earth around you on either side because you're too close. It's called focal length or focal point. If you stand really close to a basketball, you'll only be able to see that. You're not going to be able to see that, which is what he's expecting to see. The fact that he asked somebody to shine a torch at a basketball shows how little he knows of this particular thing he's trying to discredit. But amusing as this was, what happened next was funnier. Someone took his data that he'd presented as scientific fact, and basically proved him wrong with it. So what he'd done is turned the Mercator map into the sphere it's representing. And as you can see, it perfectly represented what it was supposed to represent. A three-dimensional sphere that's half illuminated by the sun as it was. But of course, didn't like that.
And these people are literally quoting this as some kind of scientific demonstration. No, lads, you're f***ing insane. You've lost the plot.
So he starts swearing and cursing and insulting the person who gave the information, calling it tosh and twaddle and all those other stupid words he uses. And then he also tries to insult it by calling it a cartoon.
He has to show the areas in question lit up on his cartoon globe like this because he can't do it with a scientific demonstration using a torch.
That's not a cartoon. Tom and Jerry's a cartoon. Donald Duck's a cartoon. What this is a 3D interpretation of a Mercator map. Now, if you don't know what a Mercator map, it's probably the one you were taught about in school. It's the flat interpretation of the surface of the Earth. Now, obviously, the Earth is a sphere, and the Mercator map is a flat interpretation of a sphere. Now, if you expand a ball out, the surface of a ball out, to a rectangle, it's not going to be accurate. I mean, the only thing it does show accurately is distances along the equator, where the Greenwich Meridian is, where the tropics are, and that's about it. Oh, and the names of the countries. But as for actual sizes of countries and distances and anything like that, I don't know, completely wrong, because it's not a good demonstration of what the Earth looks like. But of course, they'll hinge onto these tiny little things, and they'll try to dispute flight paths by saying, why can't they go in a straight line when they're doing this? Because that is a straight line on a sphere. That, on a Mercator map, looks straight, but if you put that into a sphere, it goes like that, so it's actually longer. The other thing that kind of blows their minds is the very top and very bottom of a Mercator map, when it's turned into a sphere, is an infinitesimally small point at the poles. So while it looks like the South Pole particularly, while it looks like a massive landmass all the way along the bottom, it's Antarctica. It's like this roundish bit with a spike, but it is one single landmass. But as much as I admire the efforts of the guys who did this interpretation of the 3D sphere, the information is already there in Google Earth if you know where to look. So bring up your Google Earth model, and if you click this little button at the top, you'll see a real-time interpretation of where the sun's rays at that particular time relative to where you are. So you were given new data as requested, which contradicted your original assumption. You would have looked better if you'd thrown your hands up and said, no, I got this one wrong, instead of throwing your toys out the pram in frustration. But no, the only way that you can react to things like this is to block people and hide their comments on your channel. And I know you do this, because if I look at your channel where I've commented through my account, they're still there. But if I use a burner account and look at the same things, nowhere to be seen. That's not very mature, and that's not very scientific. So I thought somebody who was supposed to be so sure of their convictions would welcome a little constructive criticism. But that's not you, is it? I should mention Level Earth Observer pops up on my channel from time to time. The last time he did is he claimed that I was triggered by his videos. Have you seen your channel? If there's anyone else who's triggered on this planet, look in the mirror, mate. Pot kettle. By the way, triggered by your videos? Don't flatter yourself. Your videos are hilarious. But just as a bit of fun, I'm going to throw up a little list of things that flat earthers don't understand. I've actually gone through Level Earth Observer's videos and picked out this. Obviously, it sounds like I'm picking on Leo. I'm not really. It's just a very good and very easy way of looking at how these people think, if they think at all. So I'll use this channel as a guideline. Here is a little list of the things that flat earthers don't understand.